when you're trying to manifest, you have to be very consciously aware of what's in your mind. Because whatever's in your mind is going to maximize. So if you're a person that constantly think negative, everything negative that you're thinking will be what you will be attracting to you. So you're constantly attracting things back to you. This is how the REM is actually made. We are helping our universe be created in our macro, right? So although you are in this world, your experience is based on what is the strongest emotion that will be attracted to you. So if you're the type of person to be constantly in fear and you're scared, and when you walk outside you're in a very fearful mode, you will experience negative things because it will match what you have in your mind a lot of times, right? So if you're the type of person that you feel like, you know, you're in a relationship and the first thing you think is the person is a cheater, the person is doing you wrong, you will attract that experience to you. So whatever's in your mind, you're constantly attracting, and it's basically you're manifesting. This is the true definition of manifesting. Your strongest emotion is how you manifest, right? So if you are a person who believes that you want, let's say you want money, let's say you want a good job, right? In order for you to manifest, it's not just talking it into existence. Talking things into existence doesn't really allow you to manifest. You have to put the strongest emotion, right, on it. So if you say, I want to be successful, I want to be a boss, and you go through life choosing the jobs to become successful, to become a boss, and you see yourself in an experience of you being a boss, like you believe in yourself that I'm successful. When you think about yourself, you say, I'm successful, I dress for success, I talk with success, I'm well spoken, I carry myself successful. This is how you actually manifest. This is how you bring it into reality. So it's hard to bring something in reality just only saying an affirmation. It will take longer because you're not spending enough time building that energy, because it's a magnetic field. Everything is energy. So how you have to nurture the energy, you have to attract the energy, and that's how you bring it into reality. When I wanted to, I was a recruiter in my very early 30s, and I wanted to bring that into reality. I wanted to make that a reality for me. I saw myself recruiting. I visualized myself recruiting. Before I go to my bed, I will lay down and daydream being a recruiter. When I went to when I was looking for a job and I spoke to a recruiter, I literally said to myself, every time I go there, I said, I can do this, right? So I actually was visualizing, I was attracting, I was pulling that energy the whole time. So then eventually I said, you know, I think I could do this job. I had got my master's in HR, and I was like, I think I could do this job. And I went to the interview and I totally bombed the interview because I didn't know there was a difference between HR and the recruiting. Now, HR is broad, it's big, and recruiting is like, it's specific. It's not really as broad as the HR, because the HR covers payroll, it covers hiring, it onboarding, it covers so much more than just the recruiting part. And I wanted to work in a staffing agency at that time, so I had interviewed for a staffing agency. I had did the interview, and the guy was like, you know, why do you want this job? And I was like, I always wanted to do HR. And at that moment, he was like, well, HR is so broad, you know, do you know specifically where you want to work in HR? And at that time, I didn't know, because I didn't do my homework. But I knew that I was manifesting that job, and I wanted that job. And for some reason, this man actually broke down like the difference of what staffing recruiting was, what HR was. And I listened, and I went back and I applied again for another recruiting job. I didn't give up. I didn't allow the stumbling block to stop me. I looked at it like, okay, this was an opportunity for me to get the insight of what a recruiter does, and now I can actually take it and apply it back on. So how does that end up becoming a manifestation? Well, in order for you to manifest, you have to set your world in the direction, and the universe will naturally deliver it for you. If you are a person who constantly think, let's go into some examples. I am a person who is always thinking about everybody hurt me. Every time I go through life, every experience I have hurt me. Then the universe will align that energy back to you, because this is a form of manifesting. You are attracting based on your thoughts, right? So there's an energy magnetic field that's around the human, right? And you're constantly attracting because you're constantly thinking these thoughts. Now, when you meet somebody, you automatically say to yourself, you know what, I can't trust you. Now you're actually using this energy field. You're attracting based on your actions, right? When you speak of the person and you say, I don't trust this person, you are now literally talking it into existence of you, the reason you don't trust. So the universe is going to match what you just felt, how you just thought, and actually what you just said. And this is the true definition of manifestation. So when you want to manifest and bring something into your reality, you need to be manifesting the strongest emotion of what you want and what you desire. So let's say that you wanted to get a job, and the job that you wanted was a job that requires a lot of obstacles to get there, because you wasn't in the you wasn't in that experience, had that experience to get it. Now you have to think about, how am I going to get what I'm desiring? How am I going to attract it, right? You should spend a lot of time visualizing yourself having the job, right? You should, see yourself in that position. Like, every day think of yourself as that position you already have. Every day you should be thinking, you should be saying, you should be feeling, you should be seeing yourself. When you go to work, you should see yourself in the new job that you desire. You should spend some time saying psalms that favor psalms, so when you put out the resume that you can actually get this job. You should spend a lot of times attracting, using the candle, staring at the candle, thinking about it. You should spend a lot of time meditating on it, seeing yourself having this. It should be a lot of time that you're spending attracting what you want. This is the true definition of manifestation. A lot of people tell you to manifest, talk this into existence, affirmations, yes, but how many times throughout the day are you sitting down to plant that energy to bring in what you desire? I literally changed my life numerous times, reinvented myself numerous times. And a lot of things that I did was based on, at that moment, like, I had no idea that I was attracting anything. I didn't know that I was manifesting things into my world. I was literally pulling and attracting things to me, And there's times where I went through I'm not even gonna lie, there was a time that I went from 2006 all the way to 2012, 6 years of having no job, and literally putting resumes out and not getting anything, and not understanding why. Because I had a very bad experience on a job interview, so I always had a fear. And I had a fear with my resume, if the resume is good enough, or I had a fear when I sit down to explain myself of why I should be hired and how to sell myself. I had a fear in doing that, and I didn't know how to do that, right? And I remember going to jobs interviews, even going through temp agencies, and then they'll give me the feedback and they'll say, the person didn't want to move forward with you because you didn't want the job. You didn't look like you wanted the job. And I'm like, well, if I didn't want the job, I would have never showed up. So there was things that was already in my mind that was giving me the stumbling block, and it was blocking me from achieving what I wanted to achieve. Manifestation is when you can bring something into your reality. Every day when you lay down to sleep, you wake up and you know already, before you even wake up, you know already that you're going to get up for the day. You plan ahead of time and you plan your future. That is how you should be with any kind of dream that you're desiring, any kind of things that you're asking for. If you're asking for a successful business, if you're asking for a specific job, if you're asking for a husband, a wife, a relationship, this is exactly how you should be having the strongest emotion. You should believe that it's going to come into your reality in order for you to actually receive it. Because just like you believe that from a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, a year from now, you're going to be on this physical plane, that is exactly how strong you should be thinking when you actually receive, that you're going to receive what you're asking for. And that is the true definition of manifestation. And sometimes we have to plant the seed for it to grow. This energy field has to become big enough that you are constantly attracting this throughout your day until it becomes into your reality. And until that's the only way you will realize that how you can really attract and manifest things into your world, because it's not as easy as people think. Just one doubt can actually change that. Now and I'm gonna put a book that's recommended for you to read, is from Joe Dispenza, and I'll throw a copy of the picture of the book so you can actually see what I'm talking about and how attracting and manifesting things come into your reality. Now keep in mind, you're reading for the purpose of knowledge. You're reading for the purpose of educating your mind, open up your horizon and understanding. You're not reading to become, oh, this is a great book. You're reading to understand how to get through the REM and how to make things your reality, how to achieve things and become successful of what you're desiring. Because you can actually say many different prayers and you can make things happen, but if you just say the prayers and not do the work, because your mind is the most powerful thing. If you just say the prayers, it will happen, but actually it can happen. I'll give you a perfect example. Very early on in my career, I spent a lot of time learning about the planets. I reached out to the planetary beings, right? And I was able to get a job. And I used Jove for Thursday. And I had got the job. And when I got the job, I had went to a job. It was horrific. The boss did not like me. The director, she did not like me. I think I talked about this in one of my experience in one of my other videos. She did not like me. She was, very nasty to me. I remember one time she had me cry like a baby at the job. Like, I couldn't even catch myself. I couldn't help myself because it was so exhausting. It was so frustrating. And everybody saw what was taking place and everybody was so scared of this lady. Like, this lady was so miserable. I remember praying for a man for her. Like, it was so bad because when she had a man, she was so nice. And then when she didn't have a boyfriend or anybody in her life, she was so nasty. And the whole point of what I'm saying is you can attract things in by doing different rituals, different ways, and you can use your prayers and you can attract it in. But if you're going into a job and the frequency, your vibration is low, you will experience negativity. You will experience toxicity because you haven't lifted your vibration up to be in union with your higher self, right? Let's talk about it. You have to lift your vibration up to be in union with your higher self to experience the higher world energies. So when you're manifesting and attracting things inside. So you want to attract, but you want to attract from a more higher frequency, from the higher worlds. You want to pull the attraction in from the higher worlds. You want to experience better experience in your life. You don't want to just go to a job and you go to the job and you're miserable at the job. You want to go to a job and you want to place that in your thought form of you being happy, that you're being respected, that you're being appreciated in the job. Because it's all about your mind. It's all about the way you think and what you're holding in your thought process. Because if you go to a job and you're already intimidated by a boss and you feel uncomfortable by this boss and you're scared of this boss, you may be going to experience a very low vibrational experience based on your fear. So you want to always remember that whatever you want to place it in your subconscious mind. You want to think about it. Like, I became at the top tier of my career. Although I still want more. I want to go up way more than where I am right now. I had become at the top tier of where I wanted to be. And at that time, I just want to give a perfect example. So when I was like about 23, I was like, I want to be a director. Now, that was not something that I actually thought that it would even happen. I didn't expect that experience to even come through. And so there was many times that I was basically saying it, but I didn't make it a reality. So moving forward, I got to, like, I'm in my 30s now, and at that time I was just like frustrated. I was frustrated because I had took my career out of recruiting, and then I went into social work, and I felt like I took steps back in my career because I felt like, you know, coming in from an HR perspective and then starting back at the bottom, because now I'm actually working for the government. So at that time, I'm just like frustrated, I'm annoyed, I'm like, I'm now starting my career from the bottom, and how do I make this a reality so I can get to this level? So a lot of times I would go to work and I'll see the supervisor and I'll be like, I need to be the supervisor. Right? And I'll be like, you know, I can see myself as a supervisor, and I will visualize myself as the supervisor. So there was a supervisor exam that came out, and I took the exam and I passed it, but that doesn't guarantee you they call you right away. You know, when you're working in the government, it doesn't go like that. So then one day out of the blues, I was again frustrated. So my friend called me one day out of the blues, and she's like, oh, I see an exam for you. You should take this exam. It's a director exam. Now, keep in mind, at the age of 23, I wanted to be a director, but because I didn't believe in myself, I didn't attract this. I'm much older now. I didn't attract this. I didn't make it become a reality because I didn't believe that this can really happen for me at that age, right? So years is passing. I'm going back to school. But it's something that I had desired at the age of 23. Now, moving forward, this exam comes out, and it's a director exam, and it's an exam that matches where I work. It's in the social service field. So my friend was like, you know, you got the master's, you got it in HR. It says that you need to have a master's for HR, and you know, you have that. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. Now, I want you to keep in mind of the fear that I'm having. So I'm telling her, I'm like, you know, I don't mind taking the supervisor, but I don't think, you know, I want to take this. She says, you know, what do you got to lose? Just go ahead and take the exam. And, you know, you pass it, you pass it, you fail it, you fail it. So I went ahead and I took the exam, and for some reason I ended up passing it. I ended up passing it with 100. I was in shock. I'm like, this is crazy. So I ended up scoring 100. And a whole year goes by. Now actually a supervisor, because I passed the supervisor exam. So now I'm sitting as a supervisor, and I finally get an interview. They call me and they want to interview me. So I'm so scared. I'm in fear because I'm looking at the title, and I'm like, I'm panicking. I now go, and I had to do the interview on remote, and literally the laptop died. When the laptop died, the person who was conducting the interview is trying to get back in contact with me. Also the person who's running it. So there's someone who runs the interview process. And about 10 minutes later, I finally got back. The laptop finally came back on. I finally got back into the remote part because I was having issues trying to get in, you know. So at this point now, he tells me they definitely don't want to move forward with you. And it really just was like, it hit me. And I was like, damn, like, why did I even look at this job in the first place? Like, but because of who I am, I was like, you know what? The next time, they happen to call me, because with the city in New York, when you work for the government, it doesn't go like that. They'll call you back again until the list is exhausted. And I'll explain that to you if you are from New York, if you want to know how to go ahead and get a city government job. It's totally different from working in a private sector when you get certified working in the city. So at that time, I knew that they was going to call me back, but I said to myself, the next time they call me back, I'm literally going to be prepared. So I literally research, the things that this person said, and I try to do it the same exact way, how follow up the same questions that they asked me. So now I have a second interview process of like 3 months down the line. They call me again, but this is a whole different department, and the department is a recruitment department. And I'm like, oh my God, this is easy. I'm gonna walk through the door and I'm gonna get it. And I get there and I see everyone has a master's with me. We all are educated. These people have extensive, because this now is done face to face, extensive experience. I have less experience than them. They're much older than me. They look like they really know exactly what's going on, how to really run a department, and I have all this fear. So I go in there and I'm interviewed. They happen to call me first because my number was 100, and where I'm scored on my list, they call me first. I do the interview. The guy is writing down. I tell him how to go about recruiting, how to actually, different techniques that I used to use. This guy is writing things down. He's asking me. After the interview, the person who's running the interviewing process came to me and said, yeah, I'm not going to hold you. He doesn't want to move forward with you. And I was in shock. But again, I had so much fear. I doubted. I didn't believe because I was more worried about the other people. They have all this experience over me. How can I get this job? Why would I get this job? So it's now like 8-9 months past. I started listening to Joe Dispenza. I have a better understanding how to attract. I'm thinking different. I'm walking the street and I'm like, I'm a boss. I'm successful. This is always in my mind. There's no fear. There's no vibration of thinking anything. I'm not even thinking about this job again. I'm just thinking like, I need to get out this department. I need to elevate. I'm saying to myself, I know before the year done, I'm going to be a director. Now I'm not expecting it to happen. One day I check my email, another interview. I go into the interview and usually it'll be like 30 people, and sometimes it's like 3 jobs, and all 30 of us is competing for 3 jobs. And this specific day is 30 people and all of us and it's 15 jobs. And I go in there and I said, wow, 15 jobs. Now before I got there, like my husband, he's driving me from Brooklyn to Manhattan, and I gotta be there at 8:30. It's now 8:20 and I'm still downtown Brooklyn. I'm still like a good 20 minutes out. I tell him, pull over by the nearest train station and get me to the train station. At this point, he pulls over, and there's this doubt in my mind, like, girl, just go back home. Like, you should have just went to work. Like, why are you even going? You're late. I jumped on a train. I head to Manhattan. I just keep going. I ignore the negativity in my mind, the negative thoughts, because we'll talk about that in another video. These thoughts that comes in that sometimes you think it's your negativity, but it's you tapping into just the mental plane, and you're hearing the negativity and you're thinking let me listen to the negativity. You have to ignore the negativity. I ignored the negativity. I get there, and it's now like 8:45, almost 9 o'clock. When I got there, I went to the wrong floor. I go to the wrong floor. They tell me I need to go 3 floors down. By the time I get downstairs, it's like literally almost 9 o'clock, like 8:50 something. The door is locked. Again, the negativity came. I told you, you should have never came. You should have never, you should have just went to work. So at this point, there's another lady, she came, she joined me, and me and her is like in the hallway just watching the interviewing process going on. And I looked this lady in her face, she could see me, and I'm like buzzing the bell, and I said to the lady, I said, you can't open that fucking door. And when I said that, this lady literally got up and walked to the door, and she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, yeah, it's okay. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my vibration high, I'm gonna keep my frequency high. But in that moment, I was like, you can't open the freaking door? Like, man, you're sitting there looking at me, seeing me buzzing. She's like, oh, you know what, he already gave out all the paperwork, you could sign your name. So she felt guilty for the fact that she was sitting there watching us stand in the hallway with the door locked, because the person who was conducting the interview process was not there. So we actually was able to sit down and just blend in. When I took a look at the job descriptions, I was like, I'm getting this job. I know before I walk out of here, I'm getting this job. And I want you to keep thinking about where my mind is. I'm like, I'm getting this job. It's 15 positions. I know I'm getting this job. So in the process with government jobs, they give you 3 interviews for 3 different departments. And so if you don't get it the first one, you're going to be interviewed 3 times in one round, like before the day is done, unless you don't have time to do it and you didn't get a chance to be interviewed. So at this point, I go into the interview room and I'm speaking to the person who's interviewing me, and she asked me for a resume, and the resume I have is an old resume that doesn't have the last job that I'm at. I'm working as a supervisor. It doesn't say that I worked in correction as a supervisor. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't say nothing to benefit me to get this role as a director. And I'm like, I'm going to have to wing it at this point. And I say to her, I said, I'm so sorry. I actually printed the wrong resume. And because I was in a high frequency, because my vibration was high, she said, you know what? It happened to the best of us. Tell me about yourself. And boom, I literally landed. And there was nothing spectacular that I said from the last time to this time. The only difference was all in my thought process and what I believe. I walked out of there. The guy told me that they wasn't going to negotiate the pay. The salary was exactly what it was supposed to be. When I walked out of there, I literally had a $15,000 increase towards my salary. Because when I was standing out there, I was like, when he told me that they wasn't negotiate, but he said, you know what, you should stick around to see if they would negotiate. And I was like, okay. Because I wasn't even thinking that they were going to negotiate my pay. And when I stuck around, I put a number. I set a number in my head. Lord behold, that was the exact pay grade that I got. Sometimes I sit back right now and I say, damn, why didn't I ask for more? But it's just like, when you're manifesting, it's really what's in your mind, what's in your thoughts. You're constantly manifesting every single day, and you have no idea that you're manifesting. Majority of the times, people are manifesting negativity, and this is why nothing is working. They're thinking negative. They're already setting stumbling blocks before them. They're already believing that things is not going to work before it even occur. They don't focus on building that magnetic field, that energy to attract what they want. I am working in a position that I didn't think that I can get, even though it came into my thought when I was 23. But the main idea that I was sitting there disbelieving that this could really work for me. How can I get this? How would I have this? Although I went to school and I feel like, anybody who went to school for a certain degree and a certain career should get that. I'm back into the field of HR. So when you sit back and you think about manifestation, how does manifestation operate? Manifestation does not operate by just affirmation. It does not operate only by talking things into existence. It operates by your thought process. What are you thinking in your mind? How many time you're spending on this magnetic field, this energy field to grow? What do you believe of yourself? Do you believe that you're worthy to have these things? Because that day I walked in there and I said, you know what, I'm worthy, I'm going to have it. And I know that I'm going to get it. I didn't have fear. I had nothing to lose. I said, I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. If I don't, I don't. But that wasn't where I was sitting down. When I was waiting and it was all 30 of us, what was in my mind was, I'm walking out of here with this job. Even with my salary increase, that wasn't even something I thought in my mind. When I looked at the salary, I was like, this is crazy. This is what you're going to pay a director? But then when this guy was like, they're not going to negotiate the pay, but I'm just going to take the chance to see if they're willing to negotiate the pay. And then they negotiated the pay. I was in shock. So I want you to understand, manifesting is really not just only talking things into existence. You should be seeing this into your reality. You should believe this is going to work for you. And it doesn't matter how many stumbling blocks comes in. It doesn't matter how many times you heard the word no. It doesn't matter how many times you have to start over and restart. If you want something and you believe it, it will happen by you putting that energy field out there. And you have to grow it. When you think about, there's a saying, right? It says, when two is guarded, God is there. But if we go into quantum physics, we go into the magnetic field. For two people to be praying and worshiping at the same time, think about how big that energy field is. Think about how big that magnetic field is. When you want something, you have to spend a lot of time throughout your day putting in the energy for you to actually achieve it. And this is all I have to say. You are worthy of anything that you desire, and you must put in the work. So thank you for watching. I'll see you again next week Sunday.